Happy Sabbath, church. It's nice to see you all here. Usually we only have the sun shining here, but today we also have the sun shining outside. So it's a great Sabbath to be here. I've had a very busy week. It's been full of things. I think as a church, basically, we've had a busy couple of weeks. Heavy weeks, but the Lord has kept us together. Can I just see those who've had a busy week like me? Okay, that's interesting. Have you been watching what's been happening in the news? The world is in chaos, isn't it? The world is in chaos. I think as Seventh-day Adventists, one of the things that we do, we look at all these world events that are happening, wars, rumors of wars, excuse me, morals that are all over the place, and we tie it to prophecy, and we look at what is happening. And if we look at the world, that is at things that are happening in the world right now, Jesus is not very far from coming. Things are happening left, right, and center. We just need to look at the world. And one of the things that we use, of course, to look at the world are our phones. We wake up, we read the news. We go through the day. No matter how busy we are, we take a minute, we look at our phones and just check what's happening in the world, It's what everyone does, or I think that's what everyone does. Maybe I might be mistaken. So we spend quite a lot of time on our devices. And sometimes it's not really doing anything. But I'm going to leave it there for now. And I want to find out what we've been doing on our devices. So without further ado, we're going to one of those mentees that we've done before. Maybe for purposes of keeping this a bit more less formal, I'm going to come down from the stage and maybe start from out here. Right, so if you see up on your screens, you've got a QR code. You can take out your devices. It's okay to take out your devices in church today. Make sure you are connected to the internet, adults and children. Just scan the QR code. It will take you to that question there. If your phone can't scan, but you can still connect to the internet, just use that number down there, 455-16097. You go to menti.com, and then you connect using that. Oh, I see people have already started answering. So the question is, which of these did you do today? The options are morning devotion, prayer, you used a messaging service somewhere, or you checked out social media, or you read the news, or you were watching something on your device. When I'm saying device, it doesn't matter what sort of device, your phone, your tablet, your iPad, your Mac, your laptop, whichever way you want to classify it. If you have one of those computer stations at home, you woke up and you went. So which ones did you do in the morning? All right. Social media seems to be topping. I wonder which social media it is. Is it Instagram, X, Facebook? Which other one is there? Snapchat. Which other one is there? WhatsApp. Well, WhatsApp is mostly a messaging service, but there is some social media aspect to it, yes. All right. I think all our responses have come through. So, 5 outstanding? 34 or 40. There are 40 people connected. We are waiting for 5 more people to give their responses. Okay. All right, it's fine. Let's work with what we have. So we have social media leading the pack. So people woke up and these are the things that they did. Some they prayed. Some took their devices connected to social media. Some used a messaging service. Some did morning devotion on their devices. Some watched something on their devices. So this just gives us an indication of what we as a church do on our devices. Those are the things that we do on our devices. And that sort of gives us an indication of which ones take priority. It's quite interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Right, let's do the next one. Right. Now I want this one, you can only answer once. You can only answer once. Of all the things that you did on your device, which one was the first one when you took your device up? The first thing you did. Don't lie. We're not judging. We just want to see. The first thing out of that list, did you do morning devotion first? Did you pray first? Did you use a messaging service first? Did you go to social media first? News or watch something? The first thing you did today, which one was it? Okay. So no one read the news today. It's the first thing. Well, according to this. Okay, most of you said prayer. And I think that's a good thing. The first thing you did when you woke up was pray. But the numbers for prayer are still less than the numbers for those who did first thing as social media and using the messaging service. It's quite worrying. This is what we're doing. Okay, I don't think any more responses are going to come up. So this is just a snapshot of what we do with our time. What we do in this world where there is so much happening around us. And these are the things that we do. This is leading to something else that we're going to be discussing as we go through the discussion this morning. So let me leave it there for now. Come into the next one. Okay. So basically we live in a world where we're so connected. It is so much easier. In the past, we used to have letters. You send a letter, it will take 4 weeks to get to where it's going. The person writes a letter, it takes 4 weeks to go back. You know, it was a longer discussion. You take 2 months just to get one message back and forth, you know. Now it's instant gratification. We are connected much, much better. If I want to talk to Joy, I just send him a WhatsApp. I know that maybe within the next minute he's going to respond and give me my response. That's how connected it is. And it doesn't matter whether he's in Aberdeen or he has traveled to England or he's even out of the country. I know that I'll still get my response right there and there. So this is the world that we live in today. We are very connected. But there is a lot of disconnection as well happening because we spend so much time on these devices, because we spend so much time doing other things on these devices, we lose that connection we have with other people. Instead of maybe me hanging out with Charles, I just send him a WhatsApp, that's fine. In the past, we would have had to say, Charles, where are you? Let's meet up. And we go, we spend time together. We spend 20, 30 minutes just talking, you know, hanging out. But now we'll just send a message and that's it. So there's a lot of disconnection. So the things that are supposed to bring us closer together have actually become chains that keep us apart and chains that have enslaved us. Instead of making us have more free time, we seem to be having less free time. Isn't it weird? I mean, things move fast. So you'd expect that because things move fast, you're done with it, then you have extra time. But who has felt that with each passing year, they just have less time in their year, in their day? We do things faster, but somehow we don't seem to have extra time, even if we've done tasks faster, we've talked to people faster. At the end of the day, we are sleeping less. We have less time for people. We have less time for family. We have less time for God. And this is the world, this is the reality that is there, which is happening in our lives as Christians, not as people who are not in the church, but people in the church. So we've become servants to our devices. We've become servants to the screen. When whatever we're doing, we have to be looking at a screen at some point. Whether we're in church or we're elsewhere, we are looking at the screen. When we're at home, our phones are always there, waiting to just hear that. I don't know what message tones people have, but my phone is usually on vibrate because I just don't like noise. So, but my phone is sitting there, and I'll hear that, "Veh, veh," and immediately I jump on it, And I don't know, some people I think have other tones, cling, cling, or something. But you're always sort of waiting for it and anticipating it. And if nothing comes in, you'll take your phone and check your notifications. And you're wondering, why is it so quiet today? Yeah? You can't live without it. So we have become prisoners to things that are supposed to make our lives more efficient.
I'm going to ask it might sound like a silly question. How many times do you think the average person checks their phone in a day? 20. Yes, Emma.
Over 100?
It's actually over 100. All right, you'll see some of these stats. 150 times on average. All right, that's a lot of time that we spend on our phones. All right, and as Shepherd has mentioned, these things are not supposed to make us their slaves, so to speak. And God has a particular divine rhythm that He has put in place for us. Please don't get us wrong. We're not saying our devices are bad. The devices are convenient. They bring a lot of ease of use in our jobs, even in communication and all these sort of things. But we need to make sure that we are redeeming the time, right? That we are remembering to number our days. So we read Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1 to 8. I won't read that verse again. I will just focus on what's in bold there. To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. Okay. I don't know if anyone has ever been addicted. Okay? But addiction is not the greatest thing. It's not, okay, when you're addicted, it feels great. But when you need to come off of that addiction, it becomes very complicated very quickly. Okay? And this is what has happened with our phones. If you have to be in an environment where you cannot touch or even check your phone at all, how do you cope? Are you able to deal with it well? Right? Or is it one of those, the minute you get a break or even when you get a toilet break, you need to quickly check your phone because you never know what's happening, what you're going to miss out on. Right? So we hope that, this week, it's part 1 of this particular sermon. So we are dealing with reflection. We want to figure out, how are we spending our time? What is it that we might need to change? What is it that God actually expects from us? And then next week, we are going into practical action. What can we actually be doing in our homes as families, as couples, that will enable us to constantly remember that to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. So the Hebrew word for season, okay, I don't know Hebrew, so it's zaman. That's how I'll pronounce it, all right? So it doesn't just talk about chronological time, but it talks about appointed time, purpose time, God-ordained time. If God were to spend 24 hours with you, would he be able to do all that you're doing in those 24 hours? Right? Besides the sleeping, all right? Most probably we are less wicked when we are sleeping, but everything else that we're doing, all right, in the 16 or so hours that you're awake, would God be pleased with how you are spending the time he has given you? Remember, your phone, your iPad, your laptop, it doesn't understand seasons, it doesn't understand time. All it knows is that if it's charged, it can work. That's it. You are the responsible party in ensuring that that device understands seasons and times. Right? So we are constantly stimulated. Think about it. Every second of the day. I mean, even if you're driving, you've got the radio on. Even if you are looking around, there are so many advertisements and everything else. At school or at work, you're being constantly stimulated. People are talking about this game, that show, this happened in the news, this president did this, or our own prime minister did that. There is just so much that is happening, and we are overloaded. Our minds are overloaded. And we need to get to that point of quietude, right? If you look at children, if you look at your own child, how long can your child sit still? As in just sitting, doing nothing, and they are able to sit still without fidgeting or wanting to do something else. We have not created environments where our young people can appreciate solitude and quiet. And if they cannot appreciate solitude and quiet, it will be very difficult for them to then take time to actually pray and talk to God and spend time in the Word. And so what we're talking about during this week, this Family Ministries week, is about the fact that God is calling us back to his rhythm, right? He's got a certain rhythm that he has set out for us. He has a specific plan that he has in mind in terms of how we should be spending our time. And we need to go back to that particular plan. So when we look at verse 2 to verse 8 of Ecclesiastes 3, there are 14 opposites that are provided. And don't worry, I know all of you are thinking about lunch now. We're not going through all 14 pairs, okay? We are only going to go through a couple of them. And what is highlighted is the fact that there are all these complementary seasons that make up a complete life. So we need, as you saw, there is a time to, which ones stand out the most for you? If you remember the verses, a time to what? A time to what? Okay, a time for war and a time for peace. Anything else? A time to reap. You will always reap, Adi. A time to be born and a time to die. That is the sad reality of what we live through, right? So there's a time to laugh, there's a time to play, there's a time for serious things and a time for not so serious things. And we're talking about, mostly it's in the not so serious things that we forget that God still holds us accountable. There is nothing wrong with you relaxing, all right? There's nothing wrong with you taking some downtime. But what are you doing during that downtime? Is it something that is edifying you, edifying those around you and building you up? Or is it something that is just making you feel so much more fatigued and actually move away from God? So we are only going to look at 5 of these opposites. There is a time to be born and a time to die. This is a very difficult one because we know there are beginnings and ends, right? But in the digital age that we're in, we've lost the fact that some things need to die. All right, some relationships need to die, some connections need to die. Because we are constantly on our phone, we don't stop. If I were to ask you right now, those who are on WhatsApp, how many groups are you in? Do you need to be in all those groups? No, but you will not let that link die when you need to let it die. Okay? There are some of us who are still in toxic relationships, all right? You were in a toxic relationship 20 years ago. That person is still your friend on Facebook because you still want to be seeing what's happening with them. You know? Let it die. Let it go. It does not benefit you in any sort of way. We need to let some of these things die. Social media refuses to let some of these things die in life. So sometimes understanding this, right, means hitting the unfollow button on social media. It means letting that group chat die, deciding, I'm done with this. I really don't need this. It's about saying, you know what? This device is bringing the devil into our home. We need to take it out. At times, it's not even the device. It's about being able to say, this TV program that I'm paying for every month is taking my children and myself down the wrong path. I need to be able to say no more. I am protecting my family. So think about it. What needs to die in your family right now? The next one we'll look at is there is a time to plant and a time to pluck what is planted. I think Shepard mentioned the fact that, we live in a world of instant gratification. Anything I want it now. Even when I can't afford it, there is some credit that is going to give me what I want. And this is the world that we live in. And so we want to be able to plant and harvest immediately. And yet that is not the life that God gave us, right? Even your children, if I get a baby right now, it won't be 2 years old tomorrow. It takes time to grow. It takes time to develop. And this is what happens even with our relationships. They take time. For me to be able to trust you, for you to learn to trust me and love me, these are all things that take time. For you to have the calling of being my best friend is not something that just develops overnight. It is something that needs to be developed. And so we can't microwave things. We can't just download deep connections or stream authentic love. Most of these things we see are very fake. Okay? And so we need to take time. Just like when you are sewing or you're knitting or you're planting, these are things that teach us patience. These are things that teach us how to love others. These are things that bring us closer together. So we need to take that planting time.
Okay, I'm going to cover the next couple, 2 or 3. Right, a time to weep and a time to laugh. When we look at social media nowadays, it looks like people are having fun. They're having the best time of their lives. But the verse says a time to weep and a time to laugh. Social media basically only paints the picture where there is full of happiness. You'll find a few sad posts, a few, but you'll quickly pass over them. The ones we focus on are where people are happy somewhere. They're on holiday, they're in the sun. Thankfully, we have the sun here today. But they are having the time of their lives. And this is only a moment that has just been captured. We don't know what the rest of their day has been. But that 1 second it takes to take that picture, it makes us see them as if that is their life. So it's not authentic. It doesn't give us, we know that life is always ups and downs, ups and downs. But when we look at social media, it gives us only one side of the story. We never get the other side of the story. Authentic relationships with people require us to see both sides of the coin, where we see the happy parts and we see the sad parts as well. But on social media, we only see strength. There is no vulnerability. All right. Okay, let's do the next one. There's a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. You know, there are times when we need physical touch. We need to be in contact with people. When we're at home, we'll be on our devices. You know, a couple of years ago, I saw a small clip, and this was a toddler who was being asked, what do you think your mother loves best? Do you think your mother loves you best? You know, it was someone who expected the child to say, yes, I know my mother loves me. And the child's answer was, no, I think she loves her phone more than me. Because she's always holding her phone. She has never held me. It's really sad. So that is the world we live in today, where instead of holding and embracing those around us, we are instead embracing our devices. We are spending less time with our wives and wives or husbands. We are spending less time with our children, less time with our friends, less time with other family members, less time even with our church people as we know them, because we are busy on our devices. And we embrace our devices more than we embrace people. So we need to recognize that we need to create seasons of embracing each other, where we are actually having physical contact with people around us. Okay? Right. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. A time to keep silence and a time to speak. Who has ever felt pressured to respond to a post they've seen? Or you see a post and say, oh, I need to respond to this. This person can't be posting this. This person can't be saying this. I need to respond. Young ones, maybe the adults I can excuse. Young ones, have you been in that situation where you need to respond? Oh no, this is outrageous. I must respond to this. And you respond. It's natural because we are people. But God has ordained that we need to have time where there is silence. You don't need to respond to everything that you see. You don't have to attend every party you are invited to. There is what they call FOMO these days, fear of missing out. Or if people see that I haven't responded to this post, they'll be saying, no, you missed out, you missed out. We took down this person on social media. But because of this culture that we're in now, we are constantly on. There's no time where we switch off. We are constantly on, and we are already chasing that high that we get from responding. You know, sometimes when your parents admonish you or someone admonishes you, sometimes you are silent and you take it in and you listen. And you are listening to what is being said to you, whether it's criticism or correction. You're actually listening and you are not responding. A time to listen, a time to be silent and take it all in. But now we are in a situation where it's not about even taking in what is being said, but it's about responding to what is being said. Whether we understand what is being said or we've heard all of it, it doesn't matter. We are there to respond. So this is some of the things that we do. Testimonies, volume 5, page 161 says, we must be in prayer if we will make progress in the divine life. When the message of truth was first proclaimed, how much we prayed. How often was the voice of intercession heard in the chamber, in the barn, in the orchard, or the grove? If you are constantly responding to things on social media, you won't have time for prayer. And prayer is something that needs you in a silent space. Not in a space where there is no silence when you are busy reading posts, when you are busy responding to people. That's not silence. There are no loud voices. There is no physical voice, but that is not silence. Your brain, your mind needs to be in a silent space for you to be able to pray properly. So that is something that we do. So my question is, when did you last practice digital silence as a family? Don't need to answer me now. Just think about it.
So one other thing that tends to happen is that we have time that we've spent doing something, but it is actually time that has absolutely no purpose. We're going to do a quick Menti. Please take out your phone and check those statistics. Everybody gets them. What was your average daily screen time in the last week? Right, I think if you go to your settings on your iPhone, it's got screen time there. It will tell you whoa. Over 14 hours. This is not over the week. Please note, daily screen time. How much daily screen time do you have? Let's be honest, people. Let's be honest. What is it? Your phone will tell you what it is. Oh, okay. Shepherd is actually saying screen time is not always just your phone. So if you also watch the TV, add some hours onto that. Or if you were just on your laptop, extra. Okay, not work. It's just for your entertainment and that sort of thing. Not school. We are saying anything that is outside of school and work. Let's see these numbers. Only about half of the people have responded. Let's respond, please. While the numbers are coming up, let's just think on average. Remember what I said? People check their phones about 150 times a day. Are our numbers not really showing us that? Okay? So you've got school or work, which is supposed to be about, for work it's about 8 hours, all right? The children's school is about 6 to 6.5 hours, right? And children, we expect you to be sleeping for maybe 9-10 hours, right? So that's about 16 hours that you should potentially not be on your phone. So you've only got about 8 hours in which to do. That's the thing. You've also got to bath. You've got to eat. You've got to chat with family. You've got to have prayers. So how are we getting to 7 to 10.5 hours a day on our screens? Please, can everyone respond? I'm seeing about 17 people haven't responded here. So, I wish we could have been able to split it to actually see adults versus our younger people, all right? How much time are we spending on our screens? Okay, and I will admit, most probably over the weekend, you do spend a whole lot more time on your screen than you would, during the school day. But at the end of the day, how much of that time is actually spent studying your Bible, studying your quarterly on your screen? Because that's what most people say. They say they don't carry their Bibles, they're doing it on their screen. How much of that time is actually spent on godly pursuits? We are not going to out anyone or ask difficult questions. Like we said, today the point is reflection. Okay. So we've got people spending about 3.5 to 7 hours, all right? So what time do you think is appropriate to spend on our devices in a day? What do you think is appropriate? The middle one, 7 to 10 hours. Okay, you know what, Sean, actually, you're not married, so it makes a lot of sense, okay? It's fine, okay? For people who are, you've got a husband, you've got a spouse, you've got children, all right? How much time should we be spending on these devices? Less than 20 minutes. 3.5 to 7 hours. All right, so parents, your children are saying 3.5 to 7 hours is appropriate for them. What do you think? Yeah?
No, it's a question. You telling me married couples don't be on their phones together at the same I'm still on the old.
The point is, Sean, if we're spending 7 hours with Shepherd on our phone, what are we getting done?
But then I'm thinking like throughout the whole day, like what you do throughout the whole day, whether you walk through town or like you're at work or shopping or at home.
Is that healthy? Remember what we said, that physical connection is also important. Because, I mean, I've had cases, I won't lie, where I'm in my room, Emma's in her room, and I'll message her asking her questions. Right? Because it's convenient, it's easy to do, and I'll get an instant response. But is that what we need to be doing as family? Because we are missing out on that connection. We're missing out on actually understanding. This is actually what happened with Emma today. If I don't spend enough time with her, I won't be able to see that she actually doesn't look as happy as she usually is. We will miss out on all these nuances because we are all on our screen. Okay? I will ask, I know this is not a mentee question, how many of our families get time to actually sit down at every meal where possible? Just sit and talk together and eat together. And it's a device-free time. How many people have device-free zones in their homes? Okay. I'm going to ask people to answer this particular question. Those who've got the 3.5 to 7 hours or whatever number of hours you're spending, what are you actually doing on your device? What sort of things are we doing on these devices? So we've got some answers that are coming up already. YouTube, music, reading, communication, TikTok. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't even see some of these. Reading my Bible and on TikTok. Hopefully you're not doing the reading of the Bible and TikTok at the same time. All right? TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, devotional, Bible, YouTube, geometry. Sorry, Martin, can you scroll up? I don't think I can do it on my end. Or you can group the responses together if you press the space bar, and then we see what type of things people are doing. And please don't worry, I'm going to send these slides out so that you can see the sort of answers that we were actually getting. All right, so it's sorting our responses out so we see. So we've got YouTube, messaging, music. Okay, so YouTube has 9 responses, messaging 6 responses, music 6 responses, the Bible 6 responses. If we can scroll down. Snapchat, TikTok, and then we've got other responses there, games, music, communication, and all these sort of things. Okay. We are doing some great things, some good things on our devices, but we are doing most of the responses are for your Snapchat, your TikTok, your YouTube, all these sort of things, right? There is nothing wrong with these platforms. We've got a lot of people who are using them for spreading the word and that sort of thing. What are you doing on these platforms is the important thing. Because at the end of the day, it's so easy for us to be distracted. Okay? You've all heard of doom scrolling, I'm sure, where you spend hours on your device. You don't even know what you did with the time. Right? You are told yourself, I'm going to read my Bible in a bit, let me just check something. And that something becomes, oh, it's bedtime now. All right? So, we will scroll through social media. Oh, I'm keeping in touch with everyone. I'm keeping up to date with what everyone is doing. But no physical connection, no proper phone call, no knowing what is really happening with them. We will sit and say, oh, we're spending family time, but we're watching Netflix, or we're watching whatever program. Are we really spending family time? Right? We will be texting instead of talking, and we keep convincing ourselves that we are communicating. You know, I was really convicted by that statement because many times I just feel like I'm too empty to really be having conversations, and all I'm doing is just texting. And yet, just by texting, I am missing out on those connections I could be having with people. So we need to remember, every season should have divine purpose. When you're on your phone, what divine purpose are you fulfilling? Okay? When you're looking through hours of other people's business, what divine purpose are you fulfilling? When you are responding to all those things you saw online, whether it's on X or whatever platform it is, what God-ordained goal are you meeting by fighting with those people? And what are you accomplishing by checking your phone 150 times a day? Yes, we understand there are emergencies and the like, but do you really need to be that connected? Then we're going to look through the redemption rhythm. Sorry, we are almost done before we close.
All right. So maybe before I start on this one, someone mentioned that some screen time increases because maybe you're not staying with your spouse or you're not staying with your family. That's understandable. So that's a different case altogether. So as we stated when we started, God has got seasons in place. God established seasons. And He's got solutions for all these things. So we need to follow God's rhythm as well in our lives for us to be able to solve these problems that we have of spending time not dedicated to God. If we look at how we spend our day, we need to establish a daily rhythm. So these are not solutions. These are more of umbrella solutions. But the nitty-gritties, I think that will be covered next week. And if we also attend the Zoom presentation that Elder Victor is going to do, I think there will be quite a few things that people can glean from there about what solutions they can actually implement in their lives. And then we can even discuss some of these next week when we come. So one of the daily rhythms that we can do, having morning devotions before devices. Psalm 5 verse 3 says, "My voice you shall hear in the morning, O Lord." Does God hear our voice in the morning? Or He just hear us just passing by quickly? We've used our devices and God is an afterthought. So we need to put God front and center. The first thing when we wake up, before we do anything else on our, if we're taking our devices to open the Bible, that's fine. But let's put God front and center of everything. Family meals without screens. When we sit, family meals in the past, you would have your table with meals. Everyone comes to the table, everyone sits. That's where we have discussions, We'll be discussing a lot of things on the family table there. How was your day? Oh, what are you planning for tomorrow? What are you planning for your life? Deep discussions used to happen around tables. But nowadays, we sit, no one is talking to anyone. I'm on my phone, I'm eating. The next person is on their phone, they're eating. No discussion whatsoever. So we need to have family time without screens. Deuteronomy 8 verse 10 says, "When you have eaten and are full, then you shall bless the Lord your God." We are only able to connect to God if we create the environment that enables us to connect to God around meals. So we need to establish those times or re-establish those times if you've lost them. Evening prayer and reflection before sleep. Most of us, the last thing we see before we sleep is not even our spouse, it's not our children, it's our phone. And whatever we were looking at on the phone, whether it was news or it was social media, X, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and our children as well, Those are the last things they usually see before they put away their devices and go to bed. And we are forgetting that before we sleep, we need to even talk to God. We need to reflect on our day. How has been my walk with God through the day? But that's not what we do anymore. We need to have simple diets in our lives. You know, when we're on these YouTube shorts, we watch a lot of things. A lot of recipes, you know, meat being cooked, and it affects how we eat as well. And yet, when we look at the Bible, it shows us how we need to eat. We need to simplify our diets. We need to simplify our lives. We need to simplify our days by not constantly consuming things that are online. Okay? So we need to create conditions that help us to connect with God and conditions that help us to connect with each other. And we're not going to find that online. Right, let's go to the weekly rhythm. When God created heaven and earth, we all know this. On the seventh day, he rested. And this rhythm of resting on the Sabbath day has continued through all the ages. Even when calendars were changed, the weekly rhythm has never been lost. Sabbath has always remained Sabbath. It's a God-ordained rhythm that is there and people cannot change. From Friday evening to Saturday evening, we are supposed to let go of everything else except God. We are supposed to rest in the presence of God. So how about we decide to let go of our digital striving on Sabbath, our online anxieties, our virtual commitments. People need to know that on Sabbath I am not available. I will call you when Sabbath is over, unless if it's an emergency, or unless if it's family and they are not with me. Then we can. But people need to know that I'm not going to be on YouTube. I'm not going to be on X. I'm not going to be on Snapchat. I'm not going to be on TikTok. Because this is a weekly rhythm. I am resting from whatever else I've been doing. I am now spending my time with God. We need to spend time with God every day, yes. But on Sabbath especially, we need to have that extra that we do so that we spend more time with God. So we need to remember that we're actually human beings that were created by God. And we are not human doings. What we see on social media is human doings. We are human beings that were created by God. Right.
Second, we need to create consecrated spaces. I know some people will not want to hear this. I think I do not want to hear some of these myself either. But very important. Just as the tabernacle had different spaces which had different uses, we need to have consecrated spaces in our homes. Okay? So in our bedrooms, these are supposed to be sanctuaries, right? For most of us, it will be like, no, I need my phone there. That's where my alarm is. I need it charging nearby. What if there's an emergency? All these sort of things. I don't have all the answers. But we need to create a space where we know that the bedroom is not for watching. The bedroom is not for doom scrolling. This is a place of peace, quiet, rest, intimacy. Our dining rooms, right? They need to be places of fellowship and gratitude. Let's not fall into the trap of saying we're having family time, it's dinner time, we're watching whatever, we are all together. That's not family time. Family time should be about connecting. Our living rooms should be spaces where we are having conversations, where we are playing games, where we are interacting as families. And so research has actually shown that families who create device-free zones have children with better sleep patterns, improved academic performance, and stronger emotional regulation. This is not a truth that especially our young people want to hear because they want to have access all the time. But there has to come a point where, as adults, we have to say, no. We need to have spaces where devices are not allowed. We need to have times when devices are not allowed.
Okay. Because of all the noise around us these days, we do not have time to sit down and simply think. We do not have time to contemplate about whatever is happening around us. Contemplation requires silence. It demands solitude. For us to even think about the most important thing, which is our connection to God, we need to disconnect from the world and connect to God. But we do not have it. We don't have all the solutions. It is something we need to all work on. Desire of Ages says, it will be well for us to spend a thoughtful hour each day in contemplation of the life of Christ. We should take it point by point and let the imagination grasp each scene, especially with the closing ones. As we thus dwell upon his great sacrifice for us, our confidence in him will be more constant. Our love will be quickened, and we shall be more deeply imbued with his spirit. If we cannot disconnect from the world and take time to think about connecting with God, about what Christ sacrificed for us, we will fail at connecting with God.
In closing, we want us to take time to reflect. Ephesians 5 verse 15 to 16 says, "Look carefully then how you walk, not as unwise but as wise, making the best use of the time because the days are evil." We need to take time to reflect, to contemplate. Some questions that we can reflect on, like we said, today is for reflecting, next week is for action. Is God our main priority? If God is not your main priority as a mother or as a father in the family, how is he going to be the priority of your family? Where are we wasting time as family? And remember, when we talk about wasting time, we're talking about all this scrolling, all this watching, all these things that are not beneficial, not adding anything to us. Third, is our current home environment conducive for silence? Are we always on the go, always busy with something, always looking at the blue screens? Do our children have to beg for time with us? Do they feel we love our devices more than them? Fourth, what do we need to cut out of our family habits? There are some things that we cherish that are not useful to us. Remember, we said there is a time to die. Some things need to start dying out in our families. Fifth, how can we be more disciplined as a family? What do we need to cut down on? How can we be more accountable to each other? Do we ask each other, how much time are you spending on this? How beneficial is this? Or are we scared of upsetting our spouses? Scared of upsetting our children? We need to remember, like Shippa said in the beginning, we're running out of time, right? The world is changing so rapidly. Laws are coming into place. We don't have time to be wasting on the devil's tactics, on the things that he has given us to distract us from our walk with God, because that's basically what our screens do. We need to be serious about eternity. And seventh, what specific or practical changes do we need to make as families moving forward? So I did have a final Menti. I will leave that on the screen just for people to put up there. Like I said, I'm going to share these slides at the end of this. But what do you think, as an individual, as a family, you need to give up in order to prioritize God? We cannot claim to love God if we're not willing to give up the things of this world, right? When we say, I have decided to follow Jesus, no turning back, this is not the point when we should be turning back. the opening song was Fill My Cup, Lord. So many of us, the reason we are on social media is because we are thirsting for something and we don't know what it is. We don't know how to handle life without all these devices, without all these distractions. We want to relax and we don't find our rest in God. And so today we are saying we need to go and really take time to think. What am I doing wrong? Where do I need to change? How can I be more accountable? How can I ensure that God is the one who is in charge of me and in charge of my time and in charge of my family? Everything else needs to take a back step. So I'm going to ask us to stand as we sing our closing song, which is hymn 500.